Hey, Sean, do you know what? I think that our listener want real protection against cyber risk, and I know that High Trust is the leader in cybersecurity assurance. But what makes them the go-to choice?
Well, according to our friends at HITRUST, because their framework covers 100% of the known tactics, techniques, and procedures, in 2024, organizations with a HITRUST certification had just a 0.59% incident rate, meaning 99.41 stayed breach free.
That's solid, but what about staying sharp over time?
HITRUST regular certification process isn't just a checkbox, it actually drives improvement. Repeat customers see up to 54% fewer corrective actions needed year over year. And now, with their new AI security assessment and certification, you can actually tackle AI risk with confidence as well.
Then check out the iTrust framework. Go to hightrustalliance.net to learn more.
Marco,
Sean, we're rolling.
we're
We've
rolling.
been rolling for a while.
We've been rolling for a while.
You've been
It's
rolling for a
it's
while.
a good day. I've been on back to back, but the energy is good when you have great guests,
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited about this one.
right?
All
Mark?
the way from Bilbao.
All the way
Spain.
from Spain, yes.
I know. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good.
My pleasure.
It's
great to have you.
You find RSAC conference good?
It's being very good. This year is being the best so far.
How many years have you been here?
I've been here coming for like a decade in a row, so
Very good.
yeah, I've seen the evolution. Also, every year is kind of hot topics and what worries to the sector. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I want to ask you. I will ask you about the evolution that you have seen and how things have changed. I love that kind of question. But let's start with a little introduction about who you are and what's your role in the company.
sure. So I'm Mark Manzano. I'm the general manager of cybersecurity at SandboxAQ. SandboxAQ is a company that spun out from Google 3 years ago, and it works at the intersection of quantum tech and AI. Our vision is to have deep impact at scale at every single corner of society. One of the areas that we focus on, of course, is cybersecurity. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here,
Right?
Exactly.
especially at RSA, right? So,
I think it's important to note that Sandbox AQ takes that seriously enough to have you in looking after that and have a practice looking after that and tackling specific problems.
It
because,
is.
because we know there are specific problems there, right?
It is. It is a really specific kind of core aim of our CEO to provide the necessary solutions to protect the future. So.
Yeah. Well, talking about the future, let's start with that. And I think it's connected with the evolution that you've seen. So when you go to a conference like this, there's always the buzzword or what people are talking about. I have to say that the moment you say the Sandbox AQ works with quantum and AI, you just said the two big words.
Yeah.
The
that are
mind blows up.
in
yeah.
everybody's mind right
Yeah.
now. So I think you got the attention of people. But a lot of people still think about it. I feel like it's almost like a sci-fi thinking, especially when you put the two together. But you guys are actually doing concrete things with this. So tell me what you guys focus on.
So on the quantum side, what we are like specifically our group, my group at Sandbox, what we focus on the quantum side is mainly considering that there is this upcoming massive migration in terms of algorithms, in terms of protocols, that needs to happen everywhere, that needs to go across the globe, and that all entities need to go through. In
Pretty
order,
much touching everything.
yeah, in
Banking and healthcare. And, yeah.
all sectors, all sorts of entities, all governments need to go through this, with the objective of kind of using a new set of algorithms that are secure in the quantum era. So this is what actually we do from a quantum aspect. We leverage the quantum threat in order to push a much bigger mission, which is giving the solutions to customers to stay ahead of evolving threats. Especially, the quantum threat is one, but the AI threat is another one that we are also leveraging. The proliferation of agents across the enterprise is scaling like very rapidly. And we don't have cybersecurity solutions.
AI agents specifically,
AI
yeah.
agents, and we don't have the necessary solutions to keep pace with that growth. Our goal is to give our customers the right solution for them to be able to observe and understand the risk that these evolving technologies pose at scale, and also give them the right solution to be able to do more with less. Like infrastructure and information security teams are very, very busy and very demanded nowadays. And we want to give the right solutions to these teams for them to operate more efficiently.
So you touched on one point with respect to cryptography specifically, and the quantum evolution that's going to expose a lot of things. And basically what you described is, I'll put it this way, a ton of legacy stuff that's going to have to shift very, very fast. And buddy of ours we were talking to, John Sapp, CISO of Texas Mutual Insurance, he quoted I guess an open letter from JP Morgan Chase around AI. And he basically is calling the same thing, that says we're deploying this stuff so fast that we're going to end up in a world where we have all this legacy tech and legacy, basically debt, that we're not going to be able to dig ourselves out of at some point in time. So I think those two, and especially when you combine them together, I think we're creating an environment that it's going to be very difficult to manage and get out of, and we're going to be stuck. Not unlike industrial control systems and SCADA systems that they're trying to. So, your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah. So actually, to add on that, so I don't know if it's the same letter or not, but JPMC CISO made a post last week on his thoughts on why we still need to focus on software supply chain security. This is a major open topic nowadays. Still, it's related to the topics and the threats that you were referring to, but also it's something that has been there for decades, and we still nowadays don't have the necessary solutions to tackle that problem. So, what we provide in this domain is the right solution for customers. Not only to keep pace with these constant evolving threats, for them to be able to control which workloads, which pieces of software, which machines, which AI agents are talking to which resources, when is that happening, which resources are they accessing, and to basically have a really good grasp on everything that's going on around that part. We refer to that as kind of non-human identity management, which is also something that we tackle. But on top of that, we are all about kind of solving these problems that have been black boxes for a couple of decades at least. The software supply chain has been one of them, and we want to give the necessary tools to customers for them to shed light on what kind of software they're bringing in the infrastructure. When they deploy a third-party vendor on their premises, how much are they reassured that that's a secure software and that the vendor has been following the necessary security guidelines that are recommended for a given environment?
Can you give us a case study, like an example of real application where you step in, maybe pick an industry, and what could go wrong and where you come in?
So I can think of a couple. So a very large bank. Usually large banks nowadays are the result of a lot of merge and acquisition processes. So their infrastructure usually is extremely heterogeneous, and there is not single pane of glass in order to have an easy view on all the specific sensitive aspects of the cybersecurity infrastructure that governs that financial institution. So what we do is we create that single pane of
like a dashboard.
Exactly, this single pane of glass that allows information security teams to actually visualize in a very easily to digest, prioritized, and filtered way what is really important for them to tackle, without taking into account all the heterogeneity and the complexity of the underlying infrastructure. So that's one, and we focus on cryptographic management, and we focus on non-human identities. But that's one use cases. We work with banks that are worried about the post-quantum migration, but their big picture is they need modern tools to manage cryptography, and they haven't been available in the market in the same form factor that we provide until recently. So we're really proud that we've been able to kind of push the boundaries of this challenge, providing a solution that is bringing value to customers within the first kind of few hours of them using our solution. And that's kind of one use case that we know very well. There is another one, which is related to software supply chain. When a large entity wants to onboard a vendor, the procurement process is usually like very lengthy. It can take up to like months. Like we're talking about like quarters, sometimes like 2, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. The main issue of that process is there is no mechanism to actually evaluate if that vendor is going to give you something that you can rely on. And then there is a bunch of like manual process that is put on top that requires a lot of people to go there and spend hours in order to kind of create a document that tells you, okay, this makes sense for you to use in this particular environment. With our solution, you can kind of put the vendor through it, and then you can actually get a really easy, quick digest of what's the security posture of that piece of software. Basically like cutting from months to like a few minutes, a few hours.
What happens?
So it's really great.
Yeah.
What happens when the open source library gets updated by that vendor? You guys pick up?
Exactly. So we're not a one-off solution. We're not scanning once and then leaving the customer premises. Like we're there 24/7, 365. Like the monitoring needs to be constant. We firmly believe that if you are not there monitoring in real time what's going on in your infrastructure, you won't be able to know everything that's happening, because infrastructure nowadays, especially on the back-end side, on the cloud side, it's pretty ephemeral. So you create workloads, you create like certain computing power when there is a peak of demand that you need to serve. But when that demand kind of plateaus and disappears, all of that piece of infrastructure goes away. And if you are not like monitoring that piece of infrastructure during that time, you'll never be able to know if that was secure or not, and what was the security posture or the risk that was posing on your organization, right?
I mean, that 1 year check, that 1 month, 1 day, all it takes is like an update or a patch, and then
it needs to be real time.
It
needs to be real time.
I want to ask this. So we've talked about that moment in time, whether it's 5 years or 10 years, cryptography is broken by quantum capabilities, and there's perhaps a move before that and a move after that to kind of reset the world with new stuff. That's not the end. So I want your view of where cryptography goes at that point, driven by quantum, I presume. And also, since you're all looking at the AI piece and non-human identities and agentic AI and all this stuff, how does that change the future of management of things in an environment, talking to each other, trust becoming even more important than ever? What's that future look like, and how is that going to impact organizations? How do you help? Because it seems like a huge mess to me.
Yeah. So on the cryptographic piece, so there are now some algorithms that NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology from the U.S., has defined as the new set of standards that need to be applied across the globe, as we've seen, and across any domain. All organizations need to go through this update, and then they have two choices. They have like they have a choice of doing this like manually and doing it once, or they have the choice to actually take this as an opportunity to improve and upgrade the way that they actually perform these updates. And if you are going this later route, where you actually deploy solutions to help you migrate in a much more seamless way, basically what you are going to be embracing is what we call cryptographic agility, which is we want to give this level of resiliency to infrastructure that allows infrastructure to be upgraded, to be migrated dynamically without the necessary human intervention, manual intervention, going there and kind of doing things one by one, right? So that's one of these areas. So what we believe is this is one migration, but there are going to be endless migrations. There will always be new algorithms. There will be one algorithm broken at some point. We'll have to replace it with another one. We just want you to give you the solution to do that seamlessly, for you to forget about this problem.
Does this include key management as well?
So key management,
because I'm just thinking the number of keys going to be required.
Exactly. And this is also linked to the non-human identity piece. So what we're aiming at is giving a full automated solution for key management and the life cycle of keys. Keys and non-human identities alike. For us, they are like very, very similar in the way that we think on life cycle and the management of those assets. So what we would like is customers to be able to define in a single pane of glass a policy. How often would I like to rotate my credentials? Do I want my credentials to last for 10 minutes regardless of the environment? Can I actually push the boundaries further? Am I fine with having digital certificates with a 1 week of validity date? This should be kind of part of the bread and butter of a very easy to digest UI that allows an information security team to just click a button and then push it and enforce it across the entire infrastructure. So
I'd want that now before.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. Is I'm thinking like, this is great. I mean, this is everybody's dream.
Yeah.
How hard it is or easy it is to make that first step where you change your system into a quantum SandboxAQ system.
So the journey basically starts by first shedding light into the piece of infrastructure that you have and cataloging, creating an inventory of everything that you have. And then once you know and you have the capability to do that in real time, which is part of our value proposition, like we are actually the best in class in doing this, you can also deploy this control plane on top of this inventory that takes whatever is seen that needs to be addressed. Let's say you have a certificate, a digital certificate that's expiring next week. The control plane will pick it up and will make sure that by the time that certificate is expired, the key management system has already issued another credential and provisioned and revoked the previous one.
I'm picturing.
So it plays with what you got. It plays with what you have.
Yeah. It's totally fully integrated end to end, from discovery management to actually control, enhance protection. In the platform that we have built.
So I'm picturing the company's infrastructure as the orchestra, and they're all over the place. And your first step is to bring the orchestra together on stage, and then you also give them a plane to actually conduct the orchestra in an easy way.
Yeah, so
and actually create something beautiful.
Yeah, ActiveGuard Protect is the.
I'm glad you mentioned ActiveGuard.
I
want to make sure we connected that because it's a new release, ActiveGuard.
Yeah, so ActiveGuard is the product that we launched last week. It's generally available already for discovery, cryptographic inventory, management, issue remediation. The automated lifecycle management is coming up next. It's a capability that we're calling ActiveGuard Protect.
Okay.
And that's going to be the maestro of the orchestra. So, yeah.
The maestro.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think we ended with a nice, good news. It's
Yeah.
actually there.
Yeah.
Which goes back to, it's not the future. It's
It's
future
now.
is
Right now.
The
It's
future is
now, and
Right
we're as eager as anyone else can be to show this to the world and get feedback and get people on this train to modernize cryptography management and non-human identity management.
Yeah, which has it's been a problem for a long time. I'm surprised. Well, it's a hard problem to solve. Clearly, you've tackled that problem.
We do.
There's no reason to wait from my perspective. Don't wait for the break to happen.
Yep.
Get a handle on it now. Be prepared for the change. Be prepared for the future. It's only going to be more complex, sounds like. So
Indeed.
SandboxAQ, Active Guard, connect with Mark, connect with the SandboxAQ team.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Good stuff, and I'm actually looking forward to talk more about this because
Yep.
it's fascinating.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
More
Yeah.
user stories would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
More story with you guys.
Let's
and,
talk soon.
And more story with RSA conference. We're not done.
We're not
We'll be
done.
back.
Lots coming.
Soon.
itsbmagazine.com/RSAC25. Everything including this story with Mark and links to their page and all the good stuff that they offer. Thanks everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hey Sean, do you know what? I think that our listener want real protection against cyber risk, and I know that HITRUST is the leader in cybersecurity assurance. But what makes them the go-to choice?
Well, according to our friends at HITRUST, because their framework covers 100% of the known tactics, techniques, and procedures, in 2024, organizations with a HITRUST certification had just a 0.59% incident rate, meaning 99.41 stayed breach-free.
That's solid, but what about staying sharp over time?
HITRUST regular certification process isn't just a checkbox, it actually drives improvement. Repeat customers see up to 54% fewer corrective actions needed year over year. And now with their new AI security assessment and certification, you can actually tackle AI risk with confidence as well.
Then check out the HITRUST framework. Go to hitrustalliance.net to learn more.